My overall impression of the TED Talk that we were assigned to watch is that it was very corny. It was super hard for me to take seriously because I felt like he was reaching for things that were very ambiguous in terms of relating conflict to music. Just the notes that he was taking, where he took the key elements of things such as like listening, connectedness, practice. You could apply that to a lot of other things besides music. I think it's just his passion, and that's what he was like wanting to talk about, and how he feels that he's doing his part in the world. It just seemed altogether very cheesy, but I did appreciate some of the points he made. He made a mention to peacemaking as being constructive and not destructive, which is something that I super agree with. In terms of music, I'm not so sure how that relates to music, but in terms of peacemaking and conflict, I think that's very wise. Using constructive words rather than destructive words is going to help you progress in that situation. At one point, he even quoted Miles Davis saying that it's about the notes that you don't use, not the notes you use, which he was referring to the listening practice of conflict and peacemaking, which I also think is a little corny, but I mean, it's a good quote and it does relate to conflict, so I do commend him on that connection. In one particular note that he was making on connectedness, I thought he was really grasping at things that were not very logical. I rewatched that scene at least 4 times trying to like hear what he's saying, and I still couldn't grasp what he was referring to, but he was discussing how an audience had not clapped at a performance that he was at, and like he asked the question, how did they all know not to clap together? But he never really answered it in any way, shape, or form. He just kind of led on into whatever he was working on next, or was just very like flighty about his ideas. They didn't seem to connect very well. If you were going to reference music and connectedness, in that scenario, it would have been really awesome for him to explain why the crowd had agreed to not clap versus all clapping. I'm sure there were some people in the crowd that did clap and just ended up following the person next to them when they didn't clap, but maybe discussing how the music spoke to them on that level, on a deeper level. He made a mention to that, but he didn't really expand on it, and I thought that that could have been improved. Again, I think he did a really great job like laying out the key elements to successful peacemaking and the benefits of conflict, like the practice, listening, connectedness, all of those awesome qualities. He did the vision, very awesome job doing that. I think the music part of it was quite a stretch. Human nature is to engage in conflict no matter what you're doing. So it could be sports, gardening, music, sewing, literally any hobby that you can think of. I could tell that he was very passionate about his work. I don't believe it was analogous with conflict or peacemaking as much as he was hoping that it would be. And again, I just thought it was very cheesy. I could not help but laughing when he ended his TED Talk the way that he did. Just, it didn't hit home for me, but he did make good points out there that were very beneficial to understanding conflict.